Well, I'm Jack Epler, and I'm 74. I became a vegan a year and a half ago because of Game Changers. I was vegetarian before that for many, many years, but I finally came to the realization that I was still hurting animals by eating, dairy products and so forth. So I came from, I'm an American. I was born in New Mexico. My father was a preacher. I moved all over the United States when I was a kid. Grew up mostly in Ohio. Came here right out of college, started into the music profession. I came here to be an opera singer. And so I've done all kinds of things in music, and I teach singing now, and I also direct a community chorus. The chorus is for people who can't sing, and it's a great organization. And I teach wonderful theater students at New York University, and I have a good life. I have a very good life. I live in the best part of New York City, Greenwich Village, and so being a vegan has been a huge change in my life, because I just feel like I know that I'm not hurting animals now, and I just feel good. I know that I'm doing good for my body. So that's how I started. From the time I was a child, I disliked my body. I really had sort of a body, I would say even a body dysmorphia. I was ashamed of the fact that I really couldn't throw a baseball. I didn't know how. I was too embarrassed to ask anyone to help me. And so I just avoided it. And I avoided athletics because I was just no good at them. And I carried that really into adulthood. And I didn't start any kind of physical working out or activity until I was well into my 40s, believe it or not. I always had low weight. There was something about my metabolism. I could eat mounds of food and not gain weight, same as my mother. And especially, I've always been addicted to sweets, so I could just eat a box of cookies and it wouldn't really show. But when I got into middle age, it did start to show, and besides, I sort of craved somehow to do something useful with my body. I didn't want to go into old age being weak and flabby. And the first thing that happened, I started jogging was the first thing, and then the next thing that happened was that I got reintroduced to yoga. I studied yoga. I had not studied yoga, but I'd read a book about yoga when I was a boy. And in my household, it was a very religious, right-wing household. And I didn't tell anybody about this. I did the yoga in my bedroom. And I did it for a while, and then we moved, and there was no one to talk about it with, no encouragement, so I kind of stopped. But the yoga, then when I really first started studying it here in my 40s, that kind of made me really start to claim my body and to just love being in my body, love moving my body. And so at that point, I became a vegetarian, and I kind of went off and on with that. But when my guru, Mr. Iyengar, came to town, I have a photo of him over there. When he came to town, I said to myself, I want to have pig on my breath when I meet this guy. So I became a vegetarian then, strictly, and that was quite a few years ago. But I could never really lose weight. I always had this pudge around my middle. Now, as an aging man, there's still an issue with that, and there may be for the rest of my life. I don't know, but there was just a lot of bulge around my middle. And I wanted to get rid of it, and I tried various dieting programs. I also got into Overeaters Anonymous because I just could not control the sugar consumption. But all those things were good for me. They made me feel better, but I could never really do anything about the fluctuation of the weight, and especially the fat in certain parts of my body. The whole middle part of my body, my inner thighs, my belly, etc. So I was about to give up on that. I had the pandemic started, and I said, I've really got to do something about this. So I reached out to about, believe it or not, 6 nutritionists, people with websites, because I thought I got to have somebody to counsel me about my health. And you'd think the pandemic, people would be dying for work. No one answered I think this is God, no one answered my email. No one. 6 people. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go try one more time. I went online and I Googled, I think, vegetarian coach, exercise coach. And yours was the first website that came up. And I made the call. And there we go. That made the difference. So once I started with Game Changers Academy, which is a year and about 3 months ago, right away the weight started to come off. Immediately the weight started to come off. And it was so funny because about 6 months into it, I got my thinnest. I had dropped 30 pounds, a lot of weight and people, a couple guys came up to me and they said, Jack, I'm kind of nervous about you. Are you all right? And both of these guys had big bellies, by the way, big bellies, and they're worried about my weight. I thought that was very funny. Finally, with this one guy, I got tired of it, and the second time he came up to me, Jack, I'm really concerned about your weight. I said, it's okay. The doctor says I have at least 6 months more to live. And that shut him up. But yeah, that's how it started to come off. I think the biggest challenge that I had in getting weight off and specifically getting it off certain areas of my body was I had no idea what to do. I tried dieting on my own. I tried fasting. I went through a period of about 6 months where I fasted one full day a week. That was interesting, and I'm still actually getting back to that because it's an interesting practice. But it still just made me fluctuate. And I kept thinking to myself, what should I eat? Are the things that I'm eating, when I eat sugar, is that ruining my health? If I'm eating eggs, is that really bad for me? If I'm eating, I had a sense that I was eating so much dairy because since I was a vegetarian, pretty much my whole diet consisted of, well, when I was on my game, when I was doing well, it was rice and beans and greens, which wasn't so bad. But most of the time it was grilled cheese and dairy products. And I just kept saying, is this hurting me or helping me? I don't know. So I needed somebody to say, eat this, don't eat this. And eat this for these reasons. And that was what really changed the game for me when you guys just said, okay, here's a meal plan. Eat these meals, make these meals with these measurements, these ingredients. And I did that pretty religiously for a while. Some of the meals I didn't like, and I finally said to Niels, my coach, I said, okay, can I take like 5 meals out of the week that I like and eat, or different weeks and eat those all the time? He said, sure, but balance the macros. And so that's how I started. And then after a while, it became, I did what you guys call intuitive eating. So I was saying, well, I know I need a certain amount of protein. Let me start with that. Let me get enough protein. And after a while, I've stopped counting calories. And I just count the protein. I have a little book where I write it down. And for me, I mean, I can see it in my body, first of all. The weight just keeps being consistent or going down. But I just feel rested about the food. I really feel rested about it. I feel like, and there's still some things that I struggle with, like, should I have that cookie? Should I have the fries or should I have the salad? But the bottom line is, because I write down the protein, I know I've had enough, I relax. And it's hugely different. I'm not anxious about my food anymore. I'm really not. Yeah, so the physical wins from getting into Game Changers are that first of all, I was hovering around, I always said I don't want to go over 190. And then it was, I don't want to go over 180. I dropped that much on my own before Game Changers, so I don't want to go over 180. And then I started Game Changers. Within 6 months, I had dropped to 150, almost to 150. So I lost 30 pounds right away. I was really skinny. And then I gradually started to build it back. And so I'm up in the low 160s now. I hover between 162 and 165. And it looks pretty good to me. I still have a little pudge in my belly, but I also realize I'm a certain age. I've had this skin surrounding this fat for a while. It may take the skin a while to go back, but basically, I love the way my body looks. I look in the mirror and I feel, okay, I'm okay. I feel proud. At first, I was sort of impatient with the bodybuilding. I would just say to the coach, it's not going fast enough, the measurements aren't changing. And after a while, and my coach would keep saying, I see the difference in the pictures. I couldn't because, again, I have some body dysmorphia. But after a while, I just stopped fighting and I said, oh, I see the way I look and I like the way I look. I am seeing not so much muscle mass, but I'm seeing tone. I'm seeing that there's sort of roundedness in the muscles. And one of the huge gains that I got from this was I started to get my balance back. There's a certain yoga exercise that's like my dream exercise. It's the hardest standing pose. It's the Warrior 3, where you stand on one foot and you're poker straight on that foot, and then the rest of your body is out, parallel to the floor like a jet plane. Tried to do that and could not. And because of some of the exercises I've been doing here, like the one-legged Romanian deadlift, I'm starting to gain my balance back. And I'm actually able to start doing that exercise. And it's amazing, because I thought, I'll never do that. I'm just too old, I'll never, and I'm starting to actually gain my balance and to do that. And a peace of mind has sort of come where I realize, okay, I may not totally know what I'm doing, but the people I'm working with know, and if I'm in dialogue with my coaches, and I'm very attentive to what I'm doing, this is the way I'm going to be for the rest of my life. This is going to carry me, through. This is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Just paying attention to my body, honoring it, challenging it, and that makes me feel really good. That's really a win. So how I feel is A, content, happy. B, I feel just really solid and relaxed in my body. I feel confident when I walk down the stairs, that if I pay attention to myself, I'm not going to trip on the stairs. I feel confident in the street. I feel just centered, grounded. I feel really proud of my body. Not like vain, I don't think, but just proud to be in my body, proud that I'm taking care of it, proud that my body looks as good as it does for my age. And people, I can see that I'm aging, but a lot of times people really are surprised that I'm as old as I am. And I'm not vain about that, but I think, wow, that's pretty cool. And I sometimes feel like I really have the attitude of a teenager. And that's a good thing. When I answered the ad, or when I got in touch with you through your website, and then you said, let's schedule a call, I thought to myself, oh boy, I better get my checkbook ready. This is going to cost me some money. And I don't know how much, but it's going to cost me something. And then we talked about the price. And for me, I'm not a wealthy person, and it was fairly expensive. But I thought, I'm really investing in my life. I'm investing in my future. And I spend a lot of money on things that I don't really need. And I thought, I'm just going to try this. Let me spend this money and see what happens. I don't regret a penny of it, because it's made such a huge change in my life, and I know that this is giving me really the tools to gracefully age, and to age in a way that I can be proud of myself, and also just that I can really enjoy life. So that's kind of priceless. And as long as I can afford it, I'll be here.